The MCAT Podcast, session number 94. A collaboration between the medical school headquarters and Next Step Test Prep, the MCAT Podcast is here to make sure you have the information that you need to succeed on your MCAT test day. We all know that the MCAT is one of the biggest hurdles that you'll face as a pre-med, and we're here to give you the motivation and information that you need to know to help you get the score you deserve so you can one day call yourself a med student. Welcome to the MCAT Podcast. My name is Dr. Ryan Gray, your host here every week. If this is your first time joining me here and joining us, me along with Brian Snedeker from Next Step Test Prep, welcome and thank you for taking some time out of your day to get some, what it is, free MCAT advice, free MCAT tutoring for you here every week on the MCAT Podcast. If this is your first time here, you have 93 other episodes that you can go back and listen to and learn from. So hopefully you go and do that. If this is not your first time here, thank you for coming back and proving that hopefully this is valuable for you. I want to remind you that the Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the MCAT is now available. If you are just starting out on your MCAT journey, trying to figure things out, this is the book for you. If you're retaking the MCATs or you're struggling in the middle of your MCAT prep, you're in the middle of a course, then this might not be the book for you. Maybe it still is, and it's only $4.99 on Kindle and $9.99 on paperback. As soon as the paperback is ready, it's still... I was getting ready to publish it, and then there was a typo that we found at the last minute. So again, just go to Amazon. It's only on Amazon right now. It will be available elsewhere later on, but Amazon for right now. Again, that's Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the MCAT. That'll give you the ins and outs of the MCAT. It's not a content review book, but it will help you choose one if that is something that you're looking for. This week, I'm joined, as always, by Brian Snedeker from Next Step Test Prep, where we talk about some biology questions. All right, Brian, hopefully after last week, students have calmed down a little bit, reading the MSAR and understanding what this new data means for them. We're going to dive back in with some content today with some biology.
Sounds good.
All right. So, any specific themes around today's topic? Or are we having just a fun grab bag of topics here?
No particular theme. We're just going back to the basics in biology and covering an array of different questions, primarily in physiology and cell bio over the next couple of weeks, just to get our head out of that strategic level where we focus on the score and just get back into that content level and focus on the science.
All right. So if you want to follow along with this is session 94, the MCATpodcast.com/94. Download the handout there. We'll start off with question 47. A couple trying to conceive without using IVF methods would most likely have their highest chance of pregnancy, A, early in the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle, B, after the onset of menses, C, during the luteal phase of the menstrual cycle, or D, midway through the follicular phase of the menstrual cycle. So... I am a little rusty with my OBGYN. OB was the one thing that almost drew me away from wanting to apply to orthopedics. There was something about OB that just got me. Mm-hmm. So thinking through these, B, I'm going to toss out immediately. If you're already menstruating, obviously you're a little late if the uterus is already shedding its lining.
Right, yeah. Yeah, you missed that round.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I would throw out B. And then you have the follicular phase, and obviously follicle is where the egg gets released out. And so early in the follicular phase, I would throw out because I need it later than that. And midway through doesn't sound right either. So I would go during the luteal phase and pick C.
Sure. So what you want to do to maximize your chance of conception is you basically want sex to happen right before ovulation, right? Not on the day of ovulation itself, because the sperm need time to make the trip up the fallopian tube. So we want to remember the basic order is follicular phase, then ovulation, then luteal phase. So if you're waiting until the luteal phase, you're late to the game.
Yeah.
Now, of course, there's always exceptions, and there's always all sorts of, examples that you can find these stories of people becoming pregnant after sex at basically every possible conceivable point in the cycle. But the winning move, right, if you're trying to make a person, is something like 1 to 4 days before ovulation. So that actually makes D the right answer midway through the follicular phase. The only concern there is the word midway is a little bit of a squishy word.
Yeah.
It's not really, it doesn't tell you precisely when the sperm are starting their journey. But if you figure the follicular phase is, something like 13 days long, and the ideal time to increase your chances of conception are, like I said, something like 1 to 5 days before then, with a generous interpretation of the word midway in that answer choice, that's the right answer. The other way to get to it, Ryan, is your approach of process of elimination. Early in follicular phase, that would be right after menstruation is over. That's way too early, right?
Yep.
Sperm don't hang around that long. After the onset of menses, you missed it. And the luteal phase, ovulation has already happened. So you're quite a bit too late. So by process of elimination, D's got to be the winner there.
All righty.
Yep. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Patients with Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome commonly suffer from hypermobile, unstable joints and fragile, easily bruised skin. Which of these loss of function mutations is most likely to cause Ehlers-Danlos Syndrome? Mutation in actin, mutation in keratin, mutation in elastin, mutation in collagen. So what do you think, Ryan?
Well, hopefully I remember this from way back in the day. It's one of the classic syndromes out there, and it's a collagen defect or a mutation is Ehlers-Danlos.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, there you go. Absolutely. And when in doubt, when it comes to connective tissue in the body, if you don't know, guess collagen, right? Because collagen is the primary supportive and structural connective tissue protein.
Yeah.
So when in doubt, go for collagen. If you had a problem with actin, I mean, that would be not even viable with life, right? I mean, if your actin fibers weren't working properly, your muscle tissue wouldn't be working properly. Yeah. And if your muscles didn't work, your heart wouldn't work and you would never make it out of the womb, right? Mm-hmm. Problem with keratin, that would be hair, nails. I mean, that wouldn't be Ehlers-Danlos. And elastin, depending on the nature of the function, either you'd end up with tissues that were super stretchy or not stretchy enough. Neither one of those gets to the joint problem, though. So it's got to be collagen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, question 58. In skeletal myocytes, calcium is normally released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum after A, the muscle begins to relax, B, myosin releases actin, C, the membrane depolarizes, or D, physical damage to the muscle occurs. Oh, man, this brings me back as an exercise physiology major, learning all the actin and myosin and the club head and all of that. So calcium is needed to ratchet the myosin, and then ATP helps relax it, if I don't remember, which is why rigor mortis happens, because you don't have any more ATP. Mm-hmm. Random things that I remember. I don't know if it's right or not, but so myosin releases actin doesn't seem right, because again, calcium is used for that.
Or rather, ATP is used for that. Not
oh, yeah, correct.
Calcium.
Yeah, ATP is used for that. Yeah, so calcium normally released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum after the muscle begins to relax, the membrane depolarizes, physical damage to the muscles occur. So the one thing that is throwing me off, that may throw a pre-med off here, is released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Is that trying to throw me off? Is it something else other than there's calcium needed to bind to the club head of myosin to grab onto actin and ratchet, right? So that wording there is throwing me off.
Well, yeah, it binds to troponin, not the myosin itself.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yep.
Yeah, and Ryan, you bring up a good point, just kind of a general strategic point, and the same problem within the question, the word after. Calcium is released from the SR after. it's like that Gremlins problem after midnight. Well, it's always after midnight somewhere, right? Everywhere in the cycle is after the previous cycle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you could kind of twist yourself up in knots, and we always want to remember that, the MCAT may have, tricky passages, but it doesn't have trick questions. When in doubt, they're just testing the normal, straightforward, totally, kind of base level understanding that's taught in every, freshman college Bio 101 class. Mm-hmm. So in this case, they want you to remember that, of course, the nerve signal comes down the axon to the skeletal muscle, and that action potential that comes down the nerve fiber is a whole depolarization, repolarization cycle. Mm-hmm. And then when you get to the motor end plate and the neurotransmitter goes across to the muscle, the first thing that happens in the muscle is you depolarize the muscle cell. And then that causes the sarcoplasmic reticulum to dump its calcium out into, the main body of the muscle itself. And then that kicks off the whole cycle, right? So in this case, why does calcium get released from the sarcoplasmic reticulum? Here it's just C, right? The membrane depolarizes because that's the response to the nerve.
Okay.
Yep.
So that's a good one, I think, to overthink as I was doing, instead of just going, this is just straightforward. How does the action potential come down and activate the motor units and so on and so forth?
Yeah. When in doubt, keep it simple.
If only it were that easy for the student.
Right.
All right, there you have it. Some biology for you. Next week, we're going to tackle some biochemistry. Hopefully that will help you as well. Again, trying to maximize your score. I want to remind you, the Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the MCAT is available now on Amazon, specifically for Kindle. The paperback version should be up any day now. I was getting ready to publish it, and then we found a typo. At the last minute, a student emailed me who bought the Kindle version. A student emailed me, and he's like, "Hey, Dr. Gray, just thought I'd let you know, you're missing a Y here." Why? Anyway, I hope you have a great week. Go check out the Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the MCAT. If you're past the MCAT, if you're a retaker and you don't want the Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the MCAT, my Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the Medical School Interview is probably what's next for you. That's anywhere where you find books. Again, that's Pre-Med Playbook Guide to the Medical School Interview. I hope you have a great week. I'll see you next time here at the MCAT Podcast.